Warning: some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. Hi everyone, today we'll be talking about the case that rocked the tiny city-state of Singapore during the early 1980s, the Adrian Lim ritual murders. So if you're interested in dark and mysterious stories, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on all notification buttons to stay updated on all of our latest videos. Also, don't forget to turn on the closed caption function for a better viewing experience. Let's get started. On January 25, 1981, a 25-year-old carpenter returning home from the movies found the first victim, little Agnes Ng, aged 9, at the ground floor of an apartment building in peaceful Singapore. The victim's lifeless body was found curled up in the fetal position inside a travel bag. What no one knew back then was that the 9-year-old girl was the first of two ritual murder victims of self-proclaimed medium Adrian Lim, an unemployed 39-year-old, his wife Catherine Tan, and his mistress Ho Kah Hong. Agnes was abducted by Ho at the nearby church and taken to Adrian's flat. She was injected with a sedative and then suffocated. She was also sexually assaulted by Adrian. To make matters worse, police investigators then found the trio's second victim, Ghazali Marzuki, 10, almost 2 weeks after discovering Agnes. He was just laying there on the grass patch, said the police officer in charge of the case, when asked how the body was found, just meters away from Adrian's block. The day before, Ghazali had been playing with his cousins in a playground in the west side of Singapore. This was when they were approached by Ho asking for help. Ghazali was taken to Adrian's flat, where he was drugged, choked, and then drowned. There were also 3 burn marks on his back and a puncture on his arm. This time, there was a trail of blood leading from Ghazali's body all the way to Adrian's residence at Block 12. Officers cordoned off the area and searched the block house to house. It was at the 7th floor when officers found Adrian, dressed in a shirt and pants, seemingly about to make a run for it. Describing what they saw when they entered the flat, the officer in charge said, "The house was very eerie. It was lit with amber light, and right in front where you go in is the altar. Officers found various religious items in the flat, and on this altar, there were crucifixes and Hindu and Chinese idols, some of which were smeared with blood." Suspicions were aroused further when a drop of blood was spotted on the kitchen floor. When questioned by the police, Adrian initially said it was from the chicken which he had slaughtered. Not believing him, police searched the house thoroughly, where they also found vials of blood in the fridge. But the most damning evidence was a single piece of paper. "We found a slip of paper inside a telephone book with both their names, Agnes and Ghazali's. We knew then that that was the man," said the officer in charge, noting that while the girl's name had been included in media reports, Ghazali's body had only been found that morning. Adrian and the 2 women were arrested and taken into custody. They later confessed that the murders were a malicious act of revenge. Revenge against what, you may ask? At that point in time, the police were investigating a sexual assault charge against Adrian. He was annoyed and angry with the constant questioning and claimed that he was framed. He decided to exact revenge on the police by murdering children, sending Catherine and Ho to hunt for victims. The court heard details about the depraved lifestyles of the trio, Adrian's work as a medium, and how he subjected his victims to various forms of torture, from electroshock therapy to physical abuse. Right now, let's take a look at the perpetrators. Adrian Lim. He was born on January 6, 1942, and was the eldest of 3 children. Adrian dropped out of school at 13 and was involved in a myriad of jobs, from an informer for the Internal Security Department to a bill collector. He spent 14 years with a broadcasting company, but had always been obsessed with the supernatural. In April 1967, Adrian married his childhood sweetheart, with whom he had 2 children. After learning Malay and Thai spells from a medium named Uncle Willie, he quit his broadcasting job to become a self-proclaimed medium, claiming to have powers to heal. He would speak in different languages when in a trance, and persuaded women to sleep with him in order to cleanse the evil in them. To be able to do so, according to his doctor, Adrian went to his clinic at least 50 times for hormone injections in order to increase his sexual potency. Adrian told the police that most of his abilities, such as fortune-telling, were mere tricks to get young women to sleep with him, because he believed that it would prolong his life. Catherine grew up as a neglected child and was always longing for attention. At 17, Catherine left home after the death of her grandmother, with whom she shared a close relationship with, and she started working at a nightclub. She was just 20 when she went to see Adrian in 1974 for treatment. She soon fell under his influence. In 1975, Adrian, who was 33 years old, insisted that the 21-year-old moved into his flat, where he was living with his then wife and 2 children. He lied to his wife that he was not having an affair with Catherine, even swearing an oath of denial before a picture of Jesus Christ. However, the wife quickly discovered the truth and moved out with their children a few days later, before finally divorcing Adrian in 1976. Believing in Adrian's power as a medium, Catherine agreed to be married to him in front of an altar of Chinese and Indian deities and was proclaimed as his holy wife. We're not sure when that happened, but they were married officially in 1977. In the period where they were together, Adrian did not treat Catherine well. He beat her up and convinced her into prostitution and to work as a striptease performer. He also got her to convince other women to sleep with him as part of their treatment and to prostitute themselves as well. Ho Ka Hong. Her own mother took her to see Adrian. The factory worker became a true believer in his powers. Adrian desired to make Ho one of his holy wives. To isolate Ho from her family, he started a campaign of lies, intimidation, and emotional abuse. He claimed to her the following: that she was an illegitimate child, that her family were immoral people who practiced infidelity, and that her husband, Benson Low, would force her into prostitution. Ho eventually underwent a mock wedding with Adrian, who declared her as his holy wife. 3 months after first meeting Adrian, Ho moved in with him and Catherine. Benson sought out his wife at Adrian's flat. He stayed to observe her treatment and was persuaded to participate in the electroshock therapy. In the early hours of 7 January 1980, Benson sat with Ho, their arms linked together and their feet in separate tubs of water. Adrian then applied a large voltage to Benson, electrocuting him to death, while Ho was stunned into unconsciousness. So while Adrian was supposed to treat Ho's then husband, Benson, the latter actually died of electrocution at Adrian's hands. Ho told police that Adrian died while switching on a faulty fan. So what happened to the 3 people who committed such atrocities against 2 young children? This case had shocked and horrified Singapore so much that large crowds gathered outside the courts to catch a glimpse of the trio and to get a first-hand experience of the trial. On May 23, 1983, all 3 of them were sentenced to death. Adrian accepted the verdict, but Catherine and Ho appealed, claiming mental illness. Both appeals were dismissed. The trio were hanged on November 25, 1988 at Changi Prison and cremated at Mount Vernon Crematorium. Anyway guys, that's it for today. Drop a comment down below on what you think of this video. If you have other stories you wish for me to cover, leave a comment and a link for me to look deeper into it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our latest videos. I'll see you in our next campfire stories. Thank you for watching.